Today we are going to talk about one of the more exciting parts of this project, and that is creating text features and finding maps, illustrations, and pictures to go along with our slides. I'm on the first slide of our Google Slide template that gives the instructions. So read with me as I read instructions number 2 and 3. It says, include at least one photograph, illustration, map, or GIF per slide. And then it says, change around the layout of each slide to suit your needs or content. Now, to find images and text features that would go along with your biography text, we first need to open up a Google tab that gets us to a search engine. Okay, now that tab up in the right-hand corner has the word images, and when you click that word, what that does is it tells Google, I'm only interested in looking at images, pictures of the topic I write. So my topic is Steve McQueen, and as I start typing, Google starts guessing. So I wrote the word Steve, and so it started guessing Steven Universe, Steven Seagal, Steve Carell, and so forth. The closer I get to the spelling of my name, the better it guesses. So I'm going to hit Steve McQueen. And then what happens is I get a number of images. Now, these images are associated with the word Steve McQueen somewhere in the text that's attached to the image. Now, that's important because I want to show you something about some of these images. Okay, about the third row down, this gentleman's picture pops up. And even though the majority of the pictures we see Steve McQueen, the actor, every so often we see this guy. Well, why is he being associated with Steve McQueen? Well, it just so happens that this gentleman is also named Steve McQueen. Stephen Rodney McQueen. He is a British filmmaker who is a director. And he's known for such films as 12 Years a Slave and Widows. So Google does not discriminate between the names of the pictures and the pictures we see. So when you say Steve McQueen, it's going to come and give you any image that is attached to those words. So when you are doing a Google search, you need to make sure that you are very specific about your search terms. And we're going to get into how to clarify search criteria as we get a little bit more specific about looking for terms and for images. But I've found some images that I can choose from. So I'm going to just click on one. And when I do, a larger version of that pops up. And when I bring my mouse over the image, you're going to notice some numbers pop up down in the bottom left-hand corner. Now, that formula, or those numbers right there, that talks about the resolution of the picture. What that means is the larger the numbers, the higher the resolution of the picture. Now, that's going to be important when we start playing around with the layout of our slides and the sizes of our picture. So when you are looking for pictures, higher numbers are going to give us a higher resolution. Okay, so let's just pick a picture at random. Okay, I'm going to go with this one. Now, there are two ways that I can choose to use this picture. One way is I can do what's called copy and paste. So I can right-click my mouse and I can save the image or copy the image. But an easier way to move pictures around is to first pick the slide in my Google Slides presentation where I want the picture to go. And I'm going to start with my introduction slide. And I'm doing that because I'm going to wait because I'm going to go and look through a lot of images of Steve McQueen. And I want to pick just the right one for my title slide. So I'm going to save that for later. So I'm going to start with the introduction. Okay, now these boxes are placeholders. They do not need to be here once we get to this point where we're putting in pictures. So I'm just going to eliminate this box by selecting it and doing the same for the text box that was inside it. So now I have some space here to work with. So I'm going to click on the picture. Now I'm going to hold down my mouse. And when I put my mouse and I hold down the mouse button over the picture, I've now captured a copy of it, and I can now drag it. Now what I'm going to do is watch very carefully. I'm dragging it over the tab of my Google Slides. And when I do that, that allows me to go from one tab to another with the image. So now I'm in my Google Slide, and when I let go of my mouse, it's going to make a copy of that picture. Now that picture was pretty high resolution, so that means it's going to appear bigger, probably a lot bigger than I want. So I have to make a decision. How big do I want this picture to be? Now, right now it's covering up my text, so I need it to be a little smaller. So in order for me to shrink this picture, I'm going to grab one of the corner of the picture. So you're seeing these square dots around the picture. I'm going to grab a corner. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag that corner towards the opposite. So if I'm in the top left-hand corner, I'm going to the bottom right. And what that does is that makes the picture become smaller, but maintain the same ratio. Let me show you that again. So I grab the corner. This time I'm doing upper right. I'm going bottom left. See, if I grab the picture from, say, the middle, either the middle top, middle bottom, or middle side, when I drag it across, it changes the shape of the picture, but it monkeys around with the ratio. Okay, it's now skinnier, but still the same height. So again, when I'm manipulating the picture, I want to grab the corner and go towards the opposite corner. Now, another trick you can do is what's called crop. And up here at the top, you see a tool that looks like sort of like a candy that's been wrapped in cellophane. So if I click on that button, a different frame comes around my picture. The black frame, what that does is this tells the computer, I want to cut out parts of the picture that I don't find necessary. So maybe I want to make this a little square because right now it's longer than it is wide. So I can grab this part right here, and what that does is it trims a little bit off the bottom. Okay, so when I hit my enter button, my picture has now been trimmed a little bit from the bottom. And again, if I change the size of the picture, it changes the size with the cropped part removed. Okay, so that's how I put in a picture. Now, when I move this picture around, sometimes you're going to see some red lines pop up. Those red lines are guidelines that relate to other features on your slide. Now, this template was created with some text boxes and these boxes that are placeholders for the pictures. So if I move my picture over, you're going to start to see a line to the left. That line connects or relates to my text box line where I wrote my biography text. So I can line up my picture with the edge of the box where my text starts. Now there was a line towards the bottom too. That line lined up with this line of this box too. So the Google Slides is showing you if you wanted to line up these two pictures together, that's the bottom margin. Okay, and so you can play around with the size like that. You can also decide to eliminate one of the boxes altogether and just have one picture on that slide. Now, this gives me a lot of blank space over here on the right, so I can also change around the layout of the text box too. In the same way, if I grab one of the corners or one of the sides, it'll change the shape. Okay, so that means I could take my picture of Steve here and make it a lot bigger, almost fill the space. Here we go. And I can play around with my text box. So the text is now alongside it. So that's not a bad looking slide layout right there. I've got a picture and I've got text that relates to the picture. And that's how we're going to compose our slides. Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit more in detail about finding appropriate pictures or pictures that help accentuate the text, because the purpose of any text feature is to help the reader understand more about what you're writing about. And we'll get into more detail about that with later video tutorials. So take some time to do some exploring. You're going to do a little web search about some pictures, and you're going to be looking for pictures and other text features that will help the reader understand your biography a little better. Okay? Have some fun looking, and we'll talk again soon. Thanks.